hospital called my emergency contact. My son answered. The doctor said, "Your mother's heart stopped. We can resuscitate, but we need consent." My son's voice was calm. "Let her go. She's lived long enough. It's her time." What he didn't know was that the call was recorded. And I woke up. I'm glad you're here with me. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end, and let me know which city you're listening from. That way I can see how far my story has traveled. I spent 41 years building a life I was proud of. My name is Dorothy, and at 74 years old, I died for 97 seconds. And in those 97 seconds, my son tried to let me go forever. My husband, Richard, and I raised our only child, Gregory, in a comfortable home in Denver, Colorado. Richard was an architect for 35 years, designing schools and libraries across the state. I worked as a dental hygienist for 33 years. We lived modestly, saved aggressively, and built a future we thought would protect us both. When Richard died 5 years ago from a massive heart attack, sudden, devastating, gone at 71, I inherited everything. Our home, worth about $720,000. Richard's retirement accounts, totaling $1.1 million. Our combined savings of $540,000. And a small mountain cabin worth $380,000. After 41 years of building together, I was alone but financially secure. Gregory had always been distant, not cruel, just absent. He was 39, married to Melissa, and they had twin daughters, Emma and Sophie, who were 13. Gregory worked as a financial advisor, and Melissa was a yoga instructor. They lived well, too well I'd started to suspect, and seemed perpetually stressed about money despite their apparent success. I'd helped them over the years. When Gregory wanted to open his own wealth management firm 8 years ago, I invested $200,000. When they bought their house in Cherry Creek, I contributed $150,000 to the down payment. When the twins needed orthodontic work, I paid $16,000. When Gregory's firm went through a rough patch, I gave him $80,000 to cover operating expenses. Every time Gregory said, "Thanks, Mom, this is a loan, of course," but no repayment ever came. And I told myself it didn't matter. He was my son. You help family. Until the day I died. And Gregory decided not to help me come back. The warning signs had been there for months, but I'd ignored them or explained them away. Gregory had become obsessed with my health. Every conversation started with, "How are you feeling, Mom?" Not in a caring way, but in an assessing way, like he was checking expiration dates. "I'm fine, Gregory. I walk 3 miles every morning." "At your age, that seems dangerous. What if you have a heart attack on the trail? Who would find you?" "I'm 74, not 94. Still, Dad died at 71. Heart problems run in the family. He wasn't wrong about that. Richard's father had died of a heart attack at 68. Richard at 71. The pattern was there, but I'd been checked. My cardiologist, Dr. Amanda Porter, had done a full workup just 3 months ago. EKG, stress test, echocardiogram, everything normal. My heart was strong. Still, Gregory kept pushing. "Have you updated your will? Made sure everything's in order, just in case?" "Everything's fine, Gregory." "But have you checked recently? Made sure I'm still the primary beneficiary? Made sure the estate won't go through probate?" The questions felt wrong, predatory, like he was waiting for something. Melissa joined in during family dinners. Dorothy, you should really think about your quality of life. If something happened, if you had a stroke or became incapacitated, would you want to be kept alive artificially? Have you signed a DNR? A do not resuscitate order. She wanted me to sign away my right to emergency care. I haven't thought about it, I said carefully. You should. At your age, it's important. The last thing you want is to be kept alive on machines, suffering, draining your estate with medical bills. Draining your estate, not my estate. Your estate. The one they were counting on inheriting. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Tuesday morning in September. I was at the grocery store pushing my cart through the produce section when the pain hit, sudden, crushing like an elephant sitting on my chest. My left arm went numb. The room spun. I collapsed. I don't remember much of what happened next. Fragments. Paramedics, sirens, bright lights, voices shouting medical terminology I didn't understand. I woke up in the ICU at Denver Health Medical Center. Dr. Porter was standing by my bed. Dorothy, she said gently, you had a heart attack, a significant one. We performed an emergency angioplasty and placed 2 stents. You're stable now, but it was close. How close? She hesitated. Your heart stopped in the ambulance. The paramedics resuscitated you. You were clinically dead for 97 seconds. 97 seconds. Dead. Does Gregory know? He's listed as your emergency contact. We called him when you arrived. He's in the waiting room. Gregory appeared a few minutes later. His face was wrong. Not relieved that I was alive, not worried about my condition, just flat, calculating. Mom, you're awake. I'm alive, Gregory. Yeah, the doctor said it was close. Very close. He nodded slowly. Well, I'm glad you made it. We'll talk later when you're feeling better. I need to get back to the office. He left. Didn't hug me. Didn't hold my hand, didn't say he loved me, just left. I lay in that hospital bed, tubes running from my arms, monitors beeping steadily, and felt something cold settle in my chest that had nothing to do with my heart attack. I was in the ICU for 3 days before being moved to a regular cardiac floor. Dr. Porter visited daily, monitoring my recovery, adjusting medications. On day 4, she sat down next to my bed with an unusual expression, troubled, angry even. Dorothy, I need to tell you something, and I need you to stay calm. My heart monitor beeped faster. What's wrong? Nothing with your health. You're recovering well, but... She paused, choosing her words carefully. When you arrived at the hospital, your heart had stopped in the ambulance. The paramedics got it started again, but you were still critical. Hospital protocol requires us to contact the emergency contact for consent to continue aggressive treatment. You called Gregory. Yes, and Dorothy. The call is recorded. All emergency calls are recorded for liability purposes. Something in her voice made my stomach drop. What did he say? Dr. Porter pulled out her phone. I'm going to play you the recording. I've discussed this with hospital administration and our legal team. You have a right to hear this. She pressed play. I heard the hospital operator. This is Denver Health Medical Center calling for Gregory Morrison. We need to discuss your mother, Dorothy Morrison. Gregory's voice. Yes, this is Gregory. What's going on? Mr. Morrison, your mother had a cardiac arrest. She's in critical condition. Her heart stopped in the ambulance. The paramedics resuscitated her, but she's unstable. We need your consent for continued aggressive treatment if her heart stops again. Do we have permission to resuscitate? A pause. In that pause, I could hear my son thinking, calculating. Then his voice, calm and measured. No, let her go. She's 74 years old. She's lived long enough. If her heart stops again, let it stop. It's her time. The operator's voice shocked. Sir, are you certain? Your mother is conscious and responsive. She has a good chance of recovery. I'm certain. She wouldn't want to be kept alive artificially. Let nature take its course. I'll be there to handle the arrangements. Mr. Morrison, I need to inform you that your mother is awake and it doesn't matter. I'm her emergency contact. I'm making the decision. DNR, do not resuscitate. Is that clear? The recording ended. I lay there, my hand shaking, my heart monitor screaming with my elevated pulse. My son, my only child, had decided to let me die, not because I was suffering, not because I'd requested it, but because I was 74 and he was ready for his inheritance. What happened next? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The operator flagged it immediately. We don't honor DNR orders given over the phone by family members when the patient is conscious and capable of making their own decisions. We continued treatment. You stabilized, and you lived. Dr. Porter's eyes were fierce. Dorothy, what your son did is legally questionable and morally reprehensible. You need to protect yourself. She was right, but first I needed to hear it again, to make sure I hadn't misunderstood. Can you play it one more time? She did. Gregory's voice. Let her go. She's lived long enough. It's her time. She's lived long enough. Those words would haunt me forever. I called my attorney, Patricia Evans, from my hospital bed. Patricia had handled Richard's estate, helped me with financial planning, guided me through complex legal decisions. Patricia, I need you to come to the hospital. Bring a recording device and a notary. I need to make changes to my will immediately. Dorothy, you just had a heart attack. This can wait. No, it can't. My son tried to let me die. I have a recording. I need to protect myself now. Patricia arrived 3 hours later with her paralegal and a mobile notary. I was sitting up in bed, oxygen cannula in my nose, but my mind was crystal clear. Dr. Porter provided a written statement confirming my mental competency. The hospital administrator provided a certified copy of the recorded phone call. Patricia listened to the recording twice. Her face went from professional neutrality to cold fury. This is attempted murder through medical neglect, she said, or at minimum, elder abuse and financial exploitation. Dorothy, you could press charges. First, I protect my assets. Then we decide about charges. We spent the next 2 hours rewriting my will. Gregory received $10,000, enough that he couldn't claim he'd been accidentally forgotten. Everything else went into trusts, educational trusts for Emma and Sophie, managed by Patricia until they turned 25, charitable donations to cardiac research and the hospital, and a significant amount to Dr. Porter's research fund for women's heart health. I also changed my emergency contact to Patricia, my health care proxy to Dr. Porter, and created a specific living will outlining exactly when I would and wouldn't want life-sustaining treatment. No one else would make that decision for me. We signed everything. The notary witnessed. Dr. Porter and the hospital administrator signed as witnesses. The new will was filed with the county clerk that same day, and Gregory had no idea. Gregory visited the next day. His timing was interesting. He'd waited until he thought I might be less coherent, more medicated. "Hey, Mom, how are you feeling?" I looked at him, really looked at him. Tried to find some trace of the boy I'd raised, the child I'd loved, but all I saw was a stranger wearing my son's face. "I'm alive, Gregory, despite your best efforts." His face didn't change. "What do you mean?" "I heard the recording. The hospital played it for me." "Let her go. She's lived long enough." Finally, an expression fear. "Mom, you don't understand. I was trying to do what was best for you." "Best for me or best for you?" "I thought you wouldn't want to be kept alive artificially." I wasn't being kept alive artificially. My heart had stopped for less than 2 minutes. The doctor said I had an excellent chance of recovery, which, as you can see, I did. Gregory's jaw tightened. "I was making a difficult decision under pressure." "You were making a financial decision. You wanted me to die so you could inherit. Don't insult my intelligence by pretending otherwise." "That's not—" "Get out, Gregory." "Mom, get out!" My heart monitor screamed. A nurse rushed in. "Sir, you need to leave now. You're upsetting the patient." Gregory left. At the door, he turned back. "You're making a mistake, Mom. I'm your only family. You'll regret this." "The only thing I regret is not seeing who you really were sooner." He left. I never saw him again. I spent another week in the hospital recovering. During that time, Patricia worked with hospital legal counsel to determine our next steps. The recording was damning. Gregory's words, "Let her go. She's lived long enough," combined with my actual survival, proved that his DNR order wasn't based on my wishes or medical necessity. It was based on his desire for my death. The hospital administrator, a woman named Carol Jenkins, was furious. "Mrs. Morrison, what your son attempted violates multiple ethical and legal standards. We're required to report this to Adult Protective Services. We're also considering whether criminal charges are appropriate." "Do what you need to do for AD," I said. "I want him held accountable." The investigation moved quickly. Adult Protective Services interviewed me, Dr. Porter, the paramedics, the hospital staff. They reviewed the recording multiple times. They subpoenaed Gregory's financial records. What they found was motive. Gregory's wealth management firm was failing. He'd lost 60% of his clients in the past 2 years due to poor performance and questionable investment advice. He had $280,000 in business debt. He'd taken out loans against his house. He was facing potential lawsuits from clients who'd lost money under his management. He needed money desperately, and I was in the way. The district attorney filed charges: attempted elder abuse through medical neglect, fraud for misrepresenting my wishes, and conspiracy to commit financial exploitation. Gregory was arrested on October 15th, 3 weeks after my heart attack. The news made headlines. Financial advisor charged after trying to let mother die to inherit estate. The trial began in March, 6 months after my heart attack. I was healthy by then, recovered fully, back to my daily walks, stronger than I'd been in years. Surviving death has a way of making you appreciate life. The prosecution's case was straightforward. Play the recording, show Gregory's financial desperation, prove I was competent and capable of recovery. The defense tried to argue that Gregory had been overwhelmed, that he'd misunderstood the situation, that he thought he was honoring my wishes. But the recording destroyed that defense. The prosecutor played it in open court. Gregory's voice, calm and measured. Let her go. She's lived long enough. It's her time. Then the prosecutor asked me, Mrs. Morrison, had you ever discussed DNR orders with your son? Never. Had you ever told him you wouldn't want to be resuscitated? Never. When you woke up in the hospital and learned you'd survived, how did you feel? Grateful. And immediately I wanted to continue treatment, continue living. I never wanted to die. And if the hospital had followed your son's instructions, I would be dead, and Gregory would have inherited everything. The defense attorney tried to paint me as vindictive, as misunderstanding a son's difficult decision. But Dr. Porter's testimony destroyed that narrative. She explained that I'd been a good candidate for recovery, that Gregory's DNR order was premature and inappropriate, that his insistence, despite being told I was conscious, suggested ulterior motives. The jury deliberated for 2 hours, guilty on all counts. Gregory was sentenced to 7 years in state prison. Colorado law on elder abuse through medical neglect is strict, and the judge was unequivocal. Mr. Morrison, Judge Patricia Herrera said, you made a conscious decision to let your mother die, not because she was suffering, not because she'd requested it, but because you wanted her money. You used your position as emergency contact to attempt to end her life prematurely. That is not just elder abuse. It's attempted murder through medical negligence. This sentence reflects the seriousness of your actions. Melissa divorced him 3 months into his sentence. She claimed she'd known nothing about his financial problems or his intentions. I didn't believe her, but I couldn't prove otherwise. Emma and Sophie, my granddaughters, went to live with Melissa's parents in California. I've tried to maintain contact. I send letters, gifts, cards. Melissa has blocked all communication, but the trusts are in place. When they turn 18, they'll have access to everything: the money, the letters I've written explaining what happened, the court transcripts. Someday, maybe they'll understand. Maybe they'll want to know me, but I can't force that. All I can do is be here, alive, ready if they ever reach out. That was 1 year ago. I'm 75 now. My heart is strong. Dr. Porter says I'm healthier than many 60-year-olds. I walk 4 miles every morning. I've joined a cardiac rehabilitation support group. I volunteer at the hospital visiting patients in the cardiac unit, sharing my story, reminding them that survival is possible. I've also become an advocate for patient rights. I give talks about emergency contact designations, about the importance of having your own health care directive, about not assuming family members will act in your best interest. Because the truth is this: emergency contacts have enormous power. In those critical moments when you're unconscious or incapacitated, they make life or death decisions. And if their interests don't align with yours, those decisions can be fatal. I think about those 97 seconds constantly. 97 seconds when I was dead, when my heart had stopped, when Gregory could have gotten exactly what he wanted. If the hospital protocol had been different, if the operator hadn't flagged the call, if Dr. Porter hadn't continued aggressive treatment despite Gregory's orders, I would be dead, and Gregory would have inherited everything, attended my funeral, played the grieving son, and moved on with his life. But I didn't die. I came back, and I made sure the world knew exactly what he'd tried to do. Looking back now, I understand what happened. I'd loved Gregory so completely that I'd never protected myself from him. I'd assumed that being his mother, providing for him, supporting him financially, meant he'd care about my life. But to Gregory, I was an asset, a source of funds. And when I was no longer useful alive, he was ready to let me die. The greatest lesson I've learned: your emergency contact is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. Choose someone who values your life, not your assets. Choose someone who will fight for you, not someone who's waiting for you to die. And document your wishes clearly, legally, so that no one can make assumptions about what you'd want. My legacy isn't the money I saved or the estate I built. It's in the example I've left, that you can survive death, rebuild your life, and hold people accountable even when they're family. That your life has value regardless of your age. That 97 seconds of death doesn't define you. What you do after coming back does. What would you do if you discovered your own child had tried to let you die? If you'd heard those words, "Let her go. She's lived long enough." Would you have the strength to fight back, to prosecute, to choose yourself even when it meant destroying your last family relationship? Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it gives someone else the courage to review their emergency contacts, to document their wishes, to understand that age doesn't diminish your right to life. You deserve to be saved. Always.